When I pulled up to my driveway, 3 concrete barricades blocked my only road out. Behind them stood 2 HOA security guards holding clipboards like they were holding weapons. Then one of them said, "Join the association, or you don't leave." That's when they made their biggest mistake. When I pulled up to my driveway, 3 concrete barricades blocked my only road out. Behind them stood 2 HOA security guards holding clipboards like they were holding weapons. Then one of them said, "Join the association, or you don't leave." That's when they made their biggest mistake. I live on 5 acres at the edge of what used to be open county land. My family bought this property in the early 70s, long before gated entrances and manicured lawns replaced pasture fences. The road leading to my house isn't decorative. It's my only legal access point, backed by a permanent state-recorded easement filed decades ago. About 6 months ago, a development called Ridge Hollow Estates expanded toward my boundary line. Shortly after, I received a thick envelope stamped with their HOA crest. Inside was a letter welcoming me as an associated road user and informing me that membership was mandatory. The fee? $8,000 up front, plus monthly dues. I read it twice, mostly impressed by the confidence. I wasn't part of their subdivision. My deed predates their corporation. And the easement allowing me road access was recorded long before their board members ever discovered neighborhood politics. I called the number at the bottom. Ridge Hollow Estates, President Mallory speaking. I introduced myself and calmly explained the situation. She cut me off mid-sentence. "You use our infrastructure. You contribute. That's how communities work." "That's not how easements work," I replied. There was a pause, tight and irritated. "You have 14 days to comply," she said. "After that, enforcement begins." 2 nights later, SUVs started cruising past my gate. Slow. Intentional. Windows tinted. Cameras visible. They weren't hiding it. They wanted me to see. I didn't react. I installed exterior cameras instead. Then came the morning of the barricades. 3 concrete barriers sealed the road where it connected to the subdivision. A freshly mounted steel gate ran between them. 2 uniformed HOA security guards stood in front like ceremonial statues. I stepped out of my truck. "Morning," I said. "Road access restricted to registered members," one replied flatly. "You're blocking my only legal exit." "Association directive." I turned on my phone camera. "For the record, you are obstructing a state-recognized easement." They didn't move. So I called the sheriff. Deputy Collins arrived 20 minutes later, stepped out of his cruiser, and stared at the setup like he was trying to decide whether to laugh or write tickets. "Who authorized this?" he asked. The guard gestured toward the subdivision entrance just as a white SUV rolled up. Out stepped President Mallory in oversized sunglasses and a blazer that probably cost more than my truck payment. "This is private property," she declared. Deputy Collins folded his arms. "Ma'am, if that easement is recorded, and it is, you can't block it." She smiled thinly. "We disagree." "You can disagree in court," he replied. "Right now, you're removing these barriers." The guards hesitated. "Now," he added. As they rolled the concrete aside, Mallory looked at me like this was temporary. Like she was already planning the next move. She was. 3 days later, I received a certified packet labeled Revised Road Agreement, 1998. According to the document, my father had signed over conditional access rights that expired last year. There was just one problem. My father passed away in 1994. I drove straight to the county clerk's office. The document number listed didn't exist in any archive. The formatting didn't match records from that decade. The clerk didn't even need 5 minutes. "This is fabricated," she said plainly. I walked out with certified confirmation. That should have ended it. Instead, things escalated. Landscaping crews showed up claiming they were conducting mandatory drainage compliance inspections. When I asked who authorized entry onto my land, they handed me paperwork with my forged signature. I filmed everything. Then came fire code inspectors responding to anonymous complaints about hazardous structures. They found nothing. Online community groups suddenly labeled me as non-compliant aggressor. Burner accounts accused me of threatening residents. Each time, I documented it. And then they crossed the line. One morning, I woke to metallic pounding. For contractors were drilling steel anchor posts directly into the asphalt at the entrance of the easement, installing permanent bollards designed to prevent vehicle passage. I walked down calmly. "You can't be here," I said. "HOA orders," one muttered. "You're committing felony obstruction." The foreman stepped toward me and grabbed my arm. Not violently, but enough. That was enough. I pulled free and stepped back. "You just escalated this." Another worker raised a sledgehammer defensively. I raised my phone. "Try it." He lowered it. When deputies arrived, one of the contractors admitted they were instructed to secure the access permanently. Deputy Collins looked exhausted. "Who told you that was legal?" They pointed toward the subdivision. This time, citations were written. But the real shift happened 2 weeks later. I received notice of a County Roads Commission hearing regarding conflicting documentation. Mallory had submitted the forged agreements as evidence that my easement expired. Inside the commission chamber, she sat upright and composed, flanked by 2 board members. The clerk retrieved the original 1973 easement filing. Permanent. Non-expiring. Transferable with deed. Then something unexpected happened. One of her own former board members stood up from the back row. Voice shaking, he testified that Mallory had directed the creation of revised agreements after I refused to join. The room went silent. Mallory objected, loudly. The chairwoman shut her down. The forged documents were immediately flagged for criminal investigation. From there, the dominoes fell fast. Forgery. Harassment. Criminal obstruction. Filing false reports. In court, the prosecution presented everything: my footage, the fake agreements, the contractor statements, the testimony from her former board member. Mallory attempted to argue she was protecting community assets. The judge didn't entertain it. "You do not override recorded state property rights," he said evenly. "And you do not fabricate documents to enforce compliance." She was sentenced to prison time for forgery and conspiracy. The contractors faced lesser charges. The HOA was fined heavily and placed under state oversight. When it was over, the barricades were permanently removed. I stood at the entrance of that road one evening as the sun dipped low over the tree line. No security guards. No clipboards. No SUVs crawling past. Just open pavement stretching toward my gate. They thought control came from a bylaw handbook and a gated sign. But the law doesn't bend to whoever shouts the loudest. And when someone mistakes borrowed authority for ownership, the collapse isn't dramatic. It's inevitable. That road was always mine to use. They just had to learn it the hard way.